Hello everyone, this is Wei, and today we're going to talk about OpenLive3D again, and this is actually the fifth day. This is the fifth day of our OpenLive3D core rewrite. And you might see that from our cover image that we are actually having a complex architecture again, right? Just like the first day and the second day, we're trying to list out an architecture of our current structure. So just a reminder that when we try to inventory all our architecture, this is what we had. This is what we have at the first day when we starting this rewrite, right? We have a machine learning landmark recognizer that is far larger than I thought it will be. And also we have controller that have a mix of different functions like magic and also interpolator inside the controller. The controller is still messy today, but we're trying to separate out some of the machine learning landmark retrieval function, retrieval core logic into another repository, which is what we have been doing right now. The rest of the code we haven't touched it too much. So after 3 days, after 4 days of rewrite, this is what we were able to achieve yesterday. And fortunately, we were able to separate the OpenLive3D core, the top half of the page, into one single repository. And for this core, it will be included inside our website, which we have already finished yesterday. And we will also like to have that inside our app, which is the Electron app. So that is what we are going to do today, right? So we have already completed this new software architecture for our website, and we want to do basically the same for our Electron app as well. Right. So not only that, we will, since we might have some time, we will also like to try to tackle the thread control, thread management inside the landmark manager listed in the center of the page on the top half. There's a landmark manager. Currently, we are utilizing the worker function in the HTML in the browser to the JavaScript HTML support to uh, open up new thread for either face mesh or holistic machine learning function. Hello, Ghostweb. Hello, Ghostweb. Nice to see you again. You're the only person who tuned in again, and yeah, nice to see you again. Cool. So this is the architecture that I draw. Like what I said yesterday, since we were able to finish it relatively early, 2.5 hours, uh, instead of 6 hours that I thought I would need. So I actually go into detail and list up all the architectures that we have. And this is the architecture that we have already sorted out. And for the thread control, if we are able to complete the electron separation, the thread control will be go into the landmark manager on the center, top center. And yes, so if we try to list down the development items today, this is what I thought we will need, right? So for Electron UI separation, we will first need to check what is the difference from the Electron version and the original version, right? So since we are changing a lot of the code, and we had already changed a lot of the code already, right? So we will need to check what is the difference, and after we copy a lot of the files from our website, we will need to change the code. And after copying the specific Electron specific functions, we will have to add the OpenLive3D core submodules into the Electron repository, and then copy up all the functions that we need for the version 2, the rewrite that we're currently doing, and then of course modify the Electron version and then test it, right? So I didn't have the test function here, but just a reminder that we always need to test. For the thread management, we will have to check how do we compare workers with single thread. And after that, we will try to call the ML function within single thread, and that will need to be added into the control. So this is what we will try to do. So first of all, the first item that we are developing today is the difference between Electron version and the original version. And this I had already checked. This is basically the difference. And the difference is very, very subtle. The only actual difference is that instead of saving the cookie, inside the cookie, we are saving not the cookie. We're trying to save the information into the IPC renderer. What is the IPC renderer? It's actually the Electron backend, right? So we're trying to send, instead of saving the information, we're sending that information into the Electron backend, and the Electron backend have a main function that will just handle the request and save the information elsewhere, right? So we don't actually need to change too much. That is the very good news, which means, go back to the item that we listed. The first item is extremely easy. So let's just label it as finished because we have already checked that. So, and to extract the specific function, we just need to copy the code. So let's just copy the code then. We go into the code, and after going into the code, we know that there's the website version and also the Electron version, right? So inside the Electron version, we go in and we check Electron version website. So the website repository inside the Electron is in a specific branch, and the branch is called Electron, right? So, and inside this branch and in the configuration management, here we have a different function. So we just copy this, put it in a new file, and good. Now we have copied the function. So this is extremely easy. So that's why we might be able to tackle more than one items today, because I have already checked a lot of the details, and we should be able to clear everything relatively quick, right? So out of the 5 items that we listed, we have already cleared 2. And then we'll try to add the OpenLive3D core submodule. Here, we will need to like type something in the terminal. So here, I will check a little bit, and I will have to go to the website. You might not be able to see it. So I'll go to the website, go to OpenLive3D core, get the repository URL, open up the terminal, git, I think it's called submodule add, right? Oh yes, okay, we are getting it done. And now we add the submodule. Let me briefly prove this to you. Let's see. Okay, so we should add the submodule now. We should add. Okay, we add the submodule. Is now called OpenLive3D.core, which we will probably like to change the name of it. And also, do we want to have this module here, or we want to have the module inside a folder? I think what we would like to do is to have this module inside a folder instead of having that exposed. But let us check what we were doing for the website. Okay, so we are having that in the front. And where were we included this function? Okay, that should be fine. First of all, let us rename it, because the OpenLive3D.core is quite a large name, and we know that we can have git env. We would like to name it as OL3DC, right? So this is what we have always been naming it, like what we did for the website. So we would like to have the same structure. And yes, we now have the same structure. And that is great. That is great. We go back to the PowerPoint, and we are clearing the third item. Now is a copy and paste from the latest OpenLive3D v2, and let us do it. Let's do it just within the folder itself, without actually using like the git to do it. The easiest way that we do this is to copy a few files. The easiest way that we do is to copy the src file together with the index.html. And now inside this Electron file, let's see in the code, inside this Electron, we are having the src that include the latest version. How do we know that it is the latest version? We can check the control. We should have the health manager, which is the latest version. And we are having the index.html here, which means we had copied the code. So inside the PowerPoint, we can clear this item as well. You might see that, okay, the development path is so much different from what we have a few days before, right? So remember two things. The first thing is that we said that after the core separation is finished, everything should be quick. And the second thing is that yesterday after the stream, I actually spent a few hours checking what needs to be done. And I actually already solved a few bugs that could prevent us from doing the testing. So which are the reason why we're able to keep out a pace today. And then we have to modify the Electron version. Now let's actually start doing the coding. Cool. So in the Electron version, let me open up the code. In the Electron version here, we're seeing the README. So if we run npm run start, it will trigger the Electron Forge. And inside the Electron Forge, we will be able to start the Electron version of our code. So currently, if we run the Electron version of our code, we will be able to see the Electron going. And we would like to set up a test environment for us, right? So we're going to change the function one by one, change the module one by one, and see if everything is still up to day and up to going. And after all the changing, after the migration is successful, we will of course pass this Electron connector function into the version 2 so that the save log function is completed. Right, so let's get started. We know that here we're using Electron Forge to start, and in the main.js here we are opening the OpenLive3D index.html. And now in the version 2 we are having the index.html in the folder itself, right? The file is here. And inside this index.html, we are trying to include all the files in the corresponding repositories and corresponding folder structure, which looks good. So let's just change it this way. Let me also shift to the structure a little bit. This look a little bit better in my eyes. And let's see. So we now have the main function. Okay, before we change it, let's test the Electron. Okay, now I open up the Electron version. Note that it's actually different from the version that the one without the background. The reason, okay, or the difference between these two is that the one without the background is a packed application. So it's an official application supported by with a license certificated with Apple. We joined the Apple development program, so this is an official application. And the one on the top left is the Electron preview version. We're just testing the Electron. So these two applications, although they actually share exactly the same configuration files. So yeah, they share exactly the same configuration file, which may be problematic, but they are different programs. So good. Now, how we test it and how do we know that we're actually open up different programs? We can reload the Electron version. Now you see that the Electron version is reloading while the application version is still running. Right? So when we change any code, we can reload it to see if the Electron change is successful. And now let's test to use the version 2 index. And for Electron, let's reload it. Does it work? It work? Okay, it seemed to be working. But it's weird that it's working. It shouldn't be working. It doesn't make sense that it works. The reason why I'm saying that it doesn't make sense for it to work is because the reason why I'm saying that it shouldn't work is because we are trying to load. Okay. The load itself might not be. Let me force reload and see if anything is still correct. Okay, now from what we're seeing, there is a huge problem with this test setup, right? Because when we're trying to load the URL from a file, I don't think the main JavaScript is changed. I don't think the main JavaScript is reloaded. I think it just tried to reload all the files within the hosted file. Let me check the log. Yes. Okay. I think what we're seeing is that it only changed the logit file. 6. Okay. That is problematic. Okay. So what we have to do is that we have to stop this program. So we have to stop and we have to restart it again. So let me remove the test because yesterday when I tried it, when I try to start and restart the program, the capture might be problematic. Okay, yes, the capture is not going well. And let us try to select the Electron. Yes, okay. This is more like what we expected. Why are we saying that? Because everything is kind of working, but a lot of things are broken, right? So like here, when we are seeing all the images are not tracked. This is okay. So also, can I stop the hand tracking of this? The hand, yes, I stopped the hand tracking. Without the icon, it's very hard to understand what is going on there. So good. Now we can try to fix this one by one, right? So first of all, we can still open it in the setting, in the configuration here. When we try to save anything, let's see, we click save, and we flip the camera. Now camera is flipped, and when we try to reload, it shouldn't be saved. It should actually still be no save, camera flipping. Yes. So this is simply because we haven't changed the function yet. So there are two items that currently we listed for the moment. One is how to get the asset. Clearly, all the image assets are missing. The second one, after we get assets, we need to get a function back to work, and let's just remove the hand tracking for performance issue. And yes, now let's get back to the code. Great. So clearly, using index.html is working in some way, but all the assets are missing. And now we have to copy the asset. This is just that easy. Electron. Here. And then we reload the Electron. And the image is back. Okay, now, so we fix one thing right now. Of course, remove the hand tracking. So one thing is fixed. One thing is fixed. Now, the second thing that we need to do, copy this function and change the Electron src.js configuration pass it here. Save. And we reload it again. Now we should get our face. Yes. And we're getting the new progress. We should have changed the version as well, but yeah, I should have changed the version, but yeah, it's fine, it's fine. So what does it mean? What does it mean? It means that among the two development items that we listed. Okay, so now let's forget about the code and go back to our PowerPoint. For the two development items that we listed, we finished the first item. The Electron UI separation is actually done. Remember that we still have to remove the folders, right? So let's remove the original OpenLive3D.github.io inside the Electron folders, and we can test again with that folder being removed. Okay, and we reload it, and everything is still working. So great. Which means we are able to get it to basically just work, right? So the Electron separation version is done. So now let's worry about the thread management. Thread management will be a lot more difficult. Then yeah, I forgot to open the note. Okay, so thread management will be a lot more difficult. Electron UI finished. Thread management, we will have to check what is the difference between the multi-thread setup that we're having, and also compare that with the single thread setup that we had. and we will need to check how the machine learning function is coded inside the thread, inside the worker, and also outside the worker. So let's get back to code again. So since we're in Electron and since we're having quite a good testing environment in the Electron as well, let's use the Electron version for the testing. So to check where that function is coded, we're actually trying to code that in OL3DC. So in OL3DC, the core, inside SRC, in the ML, we have the landmark manager. In the landmark manager, there are several different parts. One part is that it's trying to get a lot of the math finished, right? So okay, so let's separate this file into a few parts. One part is that it is trying to define some of the color which we will be using inside our GUI. Okay, this is a tricky part. The code shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be here. It should be inside our GUI. Let's change it afterward. We need to check the mark color. And second part, get default information. This is important because we are using this information to to define what need to be draw and what need to be inside the first level parsing from the machine learning, right? So these are all important information. And how do we get so when after the machine learning computation is finished, we're able to get dots. We're able to get dots on top of our videos, right? For example, we're able to get these dots working. Let me make it a little bit larger so it might be easier for us to explain. So we're able to get these dots working, right? So these dots, the eyes, the mouth, some other tracking, the eyebrows. So we're able to find these dots inside our video source. And what we are getting from this video source is actually just X and Y in the image, right? It's just where this dot is located in this video source. And we need a lot of math computation. So that's what we're seeing here. There are a lot of math that need to be done to compute the rotation of our head, the openness of our eyes, the openness of our mouth. And here are all the math functions that we listed to do this computation. And after that is the part that we want to address. This is the part that we want to address. We're getting workers. We're getting workers for our holistic and for our face mesh. And inside the worker is where the machine learning is actually code. So we check this and then we need to check the worker. So in the worker, we are trying to initialize, for example, for the face mesh version, we're trying to initialize a face mesh machine learning model. We're trying to get a specific version. This version. Is this version the latest version? Okay. So whether we should do version update is another topic that I might not tackle it right now. But we are trying to get one version of our face mesh model, and then after we initialize the face mesh, we set some parameters or options into it, right? So as you can see, we can only track maximum face of 1, and we will try to have this refined landmark which will actually track our iris. Without this, we will not track our iris. There are some detection confidence like fine-tuned is actually quite some common value. And then, of course, importantly, on result, we have this. So this on result is an important function that we are trying to pack the result into the same function like what we have in holistic, right? So if we see the holistic worker, we will see that in the onResult, this looks different from our face mesh worker. Because in the face mesh worker, the result that it returned doesn't will only contain the face, right? So this is just like one part of the information returned compared to what we have in our holistic. So we're trying to adjust the face mesh result and make it look more similar. Okay, I just spotted something that shouldn't it shouldn't look like this. Okay, it should be larger or equals to 1. Yeah, it should be larger or equals to 1. Yeah, let's change it now. It should be larger or equals to 1. Cool. And after that, we will get the first phase that we track and then return the information, right, for our phase. With that, another important part is that this onMessage, right? So we know that this is a worker. What a worker will do is that it will try, it will open out another thread, and then you will try to use onMessage and postMessage to communicate, right? So this is the important part, that how it is communicating with our main thread. The main thread is using this landmark manager to manage it. Right, so here we are binding the onMessage with onResult. So the onResult is the part where we will try to receive the result. So how does this onMessage and onResult and postMessage is trying to communicate with one another? How do we figure this out is that we also have to check where another post message is, which should be in the manager. So we can try to find post message. Good. So here we are posting message into the worker. And when we post message into the worker, this onMessage function inside the worker will be code. So it will try to check if there is an image and also metadata. That is just a key for us to check if the thread is dropping or not. And if the worker receives a message, it will send the message to the machine learning model. And when the message is sending to the machine learning model, it will try to compute it. And when they get the result, if it doesn't get the result, it will fail. When they get the result, it will go into this function and then send this post message. And when the post message is called, what will happen? The onMessage will be called, and the onMessage is hooked to this onResult, which, where do we hook it? We are hooking that, let's go to the low MO model. We are hooking that with our onWorker result, right? So everything is now tied together, right? We can see that this is a loop using post message and onMessage to communicate. Now, we know that this is how it works. This is how they work inside the worker. So if we don't want this to be inside a worker, we want it to be a single thread. How do we manage it? Now is the interesting part, right? Because we still need the initialization of our machine learning model. Good. Currently it's inside the worker. Well, might be a little bit problematic, but okay. And so this part is still needed. And we still need the face match to work, right? We still need the import, right? So we have an import script here, and this still have to work. So we need another file that is not a worker that still have, but although it's not a worker, it still have the on message and post message function, right? It should still have the on message and post message function, and it can still import a script, still code all the machine learning function, and have the post message sent back the information, right? So you still need to have the on message and post message function. So now let's try to write it. Let's try to write it. Let's try to write it. Somewhere maybe in here. Yeah, that's okay. So forget about a coding structure. We need to remind ourselves that we will have to adjust that afterward. But let's try to write our code here. And that's coded not worker. That's coded single. Yeah, let's code it single. Anyway. And inside this single, we will need to import a script. Okay, this is problematic. This is problematic. Because the self import script is the self is defined in the worker. When we try to use worker to open up a thread, it's already containing some function. That's why we can directly call the on message, which is said override, and also post message. These are important fact. So now we have to check how to import script. Okay. So is there a way that we can import script directly even without? Can we just import script? Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. Can we import script here? Okay. Let's try that. Let's not worry about failing because we will have to make mistake if we want things to work. Let's not worry about making mistake. Copy everything first and see if things can work. And init and on message. Okay, and we will have to define a class. And And to define the class, we will just use class then. Let me copy some sample and try to modify it. Right, so this is sample and we call it single, and the constructor, what do we call for our worker construction? Inside the landmark manager, when we're trying to call the worker, we're using the path. And we don't need it, so this will be an empty construction. And with this being empty, we will need to worry about the parameters, right? So this f model init meta key will need to be stored inside the construction as well if we want to use it. Is there an easier way that we can just run parameters then? It doesn't seem like there's a way to do it. Okay, so let's do it with the sand approach. So these are basically init meta key 0 and constructor, and we can have this init function defined somewhere else. Oh yeah. Okay. Can we call init here? Let's try. Do we need this init? Or do we need self init? We will need to figure out a few things, like how do we Okay, so we don't necessarily need to define it inside, it seems. Okay. Static speak, I know that. Eat. Okay, I'm currently checking some reference to see how we can use another function inside the same function. This. Okay, so what we will need is this. Init. And for that, we will need this f model, this f model, this f model, and the new result meta key, this meta key and return the arrow and this meta init. I'm not sure if I'm doing that correctly, but let's just try. And we will also need the get message function. Sorry, the onMessage function is an async function that have to check the init, check the meta key, and return the event. And also we have the post message. The post message will be a hook. The post message will be a hook. Interesting. Okay, so the post message will be a hook. To change okay. Interesting. The post message will need to be a hook to change sync function. So this will actually be post message then, right? And E, because that is completely reversed. Is that so? And when onMessage, what is the onMessage? The onMessage is the hook that we defined here to get onResult. Right. So onMessage is onResult. So onMessage will be called onMessage will be called here, right? onMessage will be called. So here, what we want to code is actually onMessage. Is it? That's I think it makes sense, but I'm not sure. I think it makes sense. Okay, let's try it though. Let's try it. Because everything is still not that clear yet to me. And we want to have this onMessage. Okay. I am not exactly sure what I'm writing, but I suppose this could be correct. Could be. And for the face, we will have f worker equals to new single, let's say onResult. And we are posting this meta and key, and when we try to receive it, okay, inside the manager, how do we use it? Here, let's see, on worker result, we're getting event, we're getting the event data, getting the event data result, getting event data meta key. So that shouldn't be enough. We need a result here. Data. We need the data. Okay. Is that enough? And we're also trying to get the data. Do we need it? Could we just get data? Data, meta key. And data, and data. Can it work this way? This is very interesting. This is very interesting. The single thread option that we're trying right now. And we will need to include this in HTML. A lot of things might just not work because this is kind of like a hacking to the original function as well. So let us see if it even working to a degree. I will suppose that this might not be able to work, but it doesn't prevent us from trying. And we can have this in the front for directly coding OL3DC face mesh single .js. And let's see. I think this shouldn't work. Initializing. And everything stopped. Okay, so okay, so the reason why it stopped, there should be a different reason why it stopped. So let's change the configuration of of the application version to enable our hand. Now our hand is enabled, and restart the Electron version. Why it doesn't reload? Oh, it's still stuck? Now it is problematic. Okay. So let's see. Electron web debug. We need a debug. We need to open up the debug for on DevTools, Open DevTools. I think we should have this function open up somewhere, right? Inside the main. Yes, we do have it open. Can we directly reload it with this? We probably cannot, right? Yeah, we cannot. So let's, what we will need to do then, we will need to open up another stream. Sorry, another screen with the same setup. Is it working? Let's see the test. Capture. Okay. Okay, good. Single is not defined. What? Single is not defined. Okay. Load them. Interesting. I think we defined a single here. And why is the class not being utilized? Is there any other error log? Unexpected identifier init. Okay, okay, okay. So this is not working. And the reason why this is not working could be because the reason why this is not working could be because we are not setting that correctly. So let's change it like this and see if that will work. Let's reload everything and see. Okay, single is still not defined on message, unexpected, identify on message. What? Can we not just define the function like this? 67. I thought this is how we define function. Okay, I'm not. Okay, we don't need a function. Apparently. Okay, let's reload. Huh? Import scripts is not defined. Okay, now we are getting into somewhere. We are getting into somewhere because we know that import script might not work. And we knew it. So how, if we are not using import script, we can also try to import that in our index HTML as well. So let's try to do it. And let's call face mesh JS. In that case, we can remove this line and see if this will work. And we are going in with the detection probably with a hand though. Yeah, because we're currently using the configuration that will require our hand. Everything is laggy, which is reasonable, and we're trying to use face mesh, and we are getting error. No such what? We are getting error. Okay, so first of all, we know that we'll get error because this probably will not work, which we know it already. But what is the error? No such file. What the? Okay, we're trying to get cdn.js. We should get it. We should get it here, didn't we? We should be able to get it at the place. Why? No such file. I think the file should be there, right? Face mesh solution pack as data. Okay, try to get it 3 times and then it error out. Try to get it more to get the same single data and it failed. And it keep looping because we have a metadata to keep checking and keep launching the same debug code. So now the problem is why this loading is not working. What is the difference between this line and the line that we were trying to get in the website. Okay, so let me open up a website with OpenLive3D and open up the resources tag to see uh, how we're trying to get the information. Okay. Okay. Network. Let me reload it. Okay, so we're trying to get the face mesh solution pack asset loader.js. Is that what we're trying to get? No, we're trying to get the face mesh solution pack asset.data. And we're getting that in local. Okay. We get that in local. We are getting that in local. That is reasonable. That is reasonable. Is that because the function that we wrote? Okay, so let's see. Okay, we're having so many functions. We're actually running three OpenLive3D at the time. But let me try to get it to work. So if, from what I'm guessing, if file equals to, can I copy link address? Yes. Let's see. If 5 equals to this file, then we will try to get it locally. Okay. If file equals to this file, we will return from the local address. Where is the local address though? The local address should be itself, right? It's in the same folder. Okay, it's either itself. Okay, let's just try to reload it then. Let's see how it goes. Okay, no such file. Okay, interesting. We're getting a lot of error log. Here we're trying to load the file or okay. There is no such file. Which means we should probably add the corresponding addresses. OL3DC face mesh. Let's see. And we are cannot read properties of undefined reading on message. Cannot read properties of undefined. Single JS33. Single JS33. Huh? 33. 33 is okay. So we are saying that this on message cannot read properties of undefined. What? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't quite get it. Okay, so first of all, the post message should be good, it seems. Because we are already running in here. Does it mean that we are somehow getting the result? Yes, we are somehow getting the result already, right? We somehow get the result. And then we're trying to call this function, this onMessage. And then in the function, this onMessage, we are not okay. We are sending this object, which we don't actually seem to be able to send to because we don't have a callback. Okay. So that's in the construction we add a callback. Then that's coded. That's coded. That's coded callback. And this CB equals to CB. And this CB will send a message back. So let's forget about this onMessage. And how about in initialization, we change it to like this. And we forget about this line. How does it look? Will it even work? Let's find out. And we are getting so much arrows. Yes. Okay. What the heck? Uncaught in promise runtime error. Wait a second. So for the app version, let's disable the hand because for performance optimization. Yes. So for the app for the build version, that's loaded. And we are loading face mesh. We're loading. Okay, we're getting arrows. Great. Cannot read properties of undefined reading CB. What? Oh, wait. Huh? Doesn't make sense. Cannot read properties of undefined reading CB. 2822. We are why is it undefined? Cannot read properties of undefined. Okay, let's try to first console log new result. Okay, first of all, let's see if we actually have a machine learning running. let's see if we do actually have a machine learning result running. So we are able to actually calculate the machine learning model with the single thread. The problem is we currently cannot return the result, even with the callback function that we have here. This callback function is returning an object, and we're defining this callback function here. Doesn't mean that the construction is not working. I think the construction should be working, though. Can we directly use the CB call instead of having this? Will it help? Will it help? We can definitely try. We can see if it helps. FB init equals to true. Okay, holistic false metadata 0. Let's see then. Let's see. Let's just run the test. We are not getting an error yet. Okay, we're getting error now. We're still getting exactly the same error. Reading meta key, we're getting different error now. Interesting. 28. Okay. So we are getting actually the same error. This is good. This is good. We are getting the same error actually, which is actually telling us that inside this construction we cannot define a parameter twice, or we cannot reuse the parameters that we just used before, which is here. So how do we get this to do what we want it to do? Can we have another? Well, I think what we need is another function called init. And in this init function, we actually init these part, and for the callback to also be here, and the callback will be in the init callback. So this now should work with the metadata because this is not redefined twice. So in that case, we will need fworker init onResult. Doesn't make sense. Let's see if this even works. We are getting some error. We are getting some problem. We are getting runtime error, which is interesting. Abort module argument has been replaced with plan argument. The initial value can be provided on module. Uh-huh. Okay. Hmm. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't use the phase match function that we have. Wait a second, we're getting different arrow now. Meta key. We're still okay. 30. This is still arrow. We cannot do it? Why? We're outside of the construction and we have this meta key defined. Or do we? Or do we? Should we? Okay, the problem is that I'm not very good at understanding what I'm writing, but I'm trying. So, is it actually like this? And we can remove the neat. And we have it here. Let's see. Integration validation. Okay. So now property cannot read properties of undefined. Is it properties of undefined reading meta key? Is it only getting this error because we're having things bugged out already? Replace with plan argument. Can be provided. Alright, this is problematic. I think what we'll need to do is probably to first find a working version of the face mesh and just copy that implementation into our work, which fortunately we do have the code. Somewhere that I wrote to try to get it. Or do I? Okay, I don't actually have. It seems like I don't actually have a media pipe version for face mesh working elsewhere. Okay, so what I will need to do is to read the document and see how to use it. And I need the old version, not the new one, because the new one look completely different. Okay, that's tricky. That is tricky. That is very tricky. So what I will need is some JavaScript example. Okay, I am thinking, is this no, this is not what I want. Interesting. Interesting. This is TF.js version. Okay. This is not what I need. I need the MediaPy version. And they don't have that here. Alright, so as you may be able to see, we will need to spend quite a lot of time here, which is understandable because getting the integration and dependency version working will most of the time be the most time-consuming part. And we will need to figure out why when we're directly coding this face mesh solution SIMD WSM bin.js, we are not getting the correct result. And which is very weird. Why? Because we are actually already getting a machine learning result somewhere from the face mesh. So the face mesh is actually already returning result. But even though the face mesh is returning result, we are, first of all, we are not able to return this result back to our user. And secondly, we are getting error trying to run the callback to send the information. So what I will like to try first is to not have the meta key, but still send the result back, because the meta key seems to be problematic. And with this, I know that we will keep try to reset the ML model, but it seems like yes, the meta key is the problem, and that is just very interesting. That is so interesting. That is so interesting. And we're actually able to get the first result here. Just that it seems like when we are trying to return the machine learning result, we are not sending that back. And can we see the parameters for ML at PS is basically 0 or 1. So the machine learning that we are currently running together with the 3D FPS thread is just not using GPU. So the single thread is currently not using GPU. And we don't know why. That is one. The second thing is that when we try to code this meta key, we get an error, but we shouldn't. We shouldn't get this error, even though we are trying to set the meta key elsewhere. And since we're not getting this error elsewhere, this meta key shouldn't be bugged out anyway. Is it because of this? Or can we get, and this is a constructor. Can we get a parameter defined somewhere? Oh no, we cannot. Okay, I still need to try this. I still need to try this to see if we're able to have this init somewhere setting up. With the function that we want and with the callback and with this meta key. And we are trying to on result get result sending a meta key back. Why are we not able to get this? I don't understand, but we have to try. We have to try to see why the meta key is the one that is causing the problem. For the callback function, we don't need to worry about that too much. I think what we could do here is to remove is to have it defined as somewhere else. And I believe this shouldn't work in any way. But will it even work? Will it even work? Seems like it will not work. And we don't even get any error. What the fuck? Even if we are okay, so in the previous test we know that, oh shit, because we didn't init that. Single init. Okay, let's try it again. We are trying to, okay, we're getting this error again. And we are we getting the, we are getting the meta key error again. That doesn't make sense though. That doesn't make sense though. Okay, okay. Another No, we cannot do it. I don't see how this can work. And we need meta key so that we can actually check uh what is the current thread, right? So we create the thread ID, which is called meta key, a bad name, but anyway, and we need to check what is the current thread ID. This is a very important part of for us to ensure that our MO is running correctly. Okay, so there are several problems that we're spotting right now. The first problem is that we are not able to get the thread ID aligned. We are defining this somewhere here with a, it should be a global variable. It should be able to change, right? I don't think it's constant. This is not this don't need to be constant. Okay, I think what I would need to do is to try to Google search. JS. This is JS class. This thing exists. Why? Getting undefined JavaScript. When I cannot read properties of defined in class. Expect you to pass. Okay. Okay, I think I am getting somewhere. I think I'm getting somewhere. So, if it looked like this, if it looked like this, will it work? Will it work? I am guessing that this is replaced to something else inside the unresolved callback. Okay. So inside the unresolved callback, this is replaced. That make some sense, not complete sense, but it makes some sense, which I can, to a degree, I can understand to a degree. Okay, so it means that we can actually change the code a little bit, probably. Like this. And we don't need this anymore. And we can remove that line init, and we can check it again. And the model integration, we are getting error. What the fuck? Now, what is it? What the fuck? What? What? Okay, wait a second. Wait a second. Okay. This is what we had. And we need this line to init as well. And do we get error? We don't. We don't actually get error. Although we don't get error. Whoa, this is quite an interesting model change. It doesn't make sense though. Okay, so we're not getting error. We know the model flight away. And at some time, it will go back. But if we use this onResult to do the callback with the meta key, we'll always use the same meta key. So okay. I get what we probably need to do. I kind of get what we probably need to do. When getting this onResult, the entire result is fixed other than the return in result. Is there something that we could change? We are still keep setting new meta key. And the reason could be because, okay, that is interesting. Wait a second. This one we're not adding error. Okay. Could be because the meta key is not changed anyway across all the time, even though we are posting message. How do we fix it? How do we fix that? Can we use these two equals to these? will it even work? Will it even work? Let's try. We're still seeing the set meta key error. But we don't get error messages. Why are we having this config manager not line? 9. Okay, it's fine though. It's quite long. Okay. We're trying to get the meta key of this too, but it's not returning. How and why? Why doesn't it return any result then? New results. Okay, we need a way to check if things are actually running here. Okay, we'll probably need more line. Okay, we're getting some arrows, which is good. A board have been replaced with plan. The new output after startup, the values only looked for only on a local variable of that name. What? Wait a second. Okay, initialization. We are not getting that error. We are not getting that log. We are not getting that something is running. Something is running 1, running 2. Okay, I think we should get. Now we're getting the error. Wait a second. Something is running 1. Where is it? We should get that. Render process either no content security. It's not even running. So it means that this this cannot work, right? This 2 parameters doesn't work. We are fixing a meta key, seems. Square WebGL version. Yeah. Third arrow. alert error. What? It was running with this code. It was. And now it doesn't even run. What the fuck? Comment it out? What the uncut in promise? Sometimes you will get an error, and sometimes we won't get an error. But now we cannot run anything. And we don't know why. And then does it? Oh shit. Because we probably removed that init. Oh, that's why we have been trying. That's why we have been trying so hard to get this, to get that. Oh shit. Okay, now let's try it again then. Now let's try it again. So we know we want this 2 to be this. And we want this 2 with CB, and also this 2 with meta. Okay, metadata, right? With meta key. Okay. To work. We want it to work like this. Doesn't even work like this. It kind of does. It kind of does. The FPS is suck. The FPS sucked so much. Okay, so the FPS sucks so much, but we know that it is going to suck because this is single thread, right? So we are suffering from the single thread processing, kind of like a lag. Oh yeah, and interestingly, the machine learning calculation is even faster than the 3D rendering. And we are suffering our 3D. We are. Feel free to contact for more. Okay, interesting. We are suffering from. We are suffering because we kind of kick off our video rendering without considering the 3D FPS. Which is problematic. Which is problematic because we will want the 3D rendering to go together with the ML FPS as well. Well, is it a problem that we could potentially fix when we have more power? Let me see. So let me turn off the application then. So now we should have more computation power with our test. And we are seeing the FPS pick up with around 40 FPS. Interesting. And now, yes, the single thread function, we still got a faster machine learning. We still got a faster machine learning with a somewhat fine 3D rendering result with like 40 FPS. But yes, okay, so we have a single thread running in this case. It is super ugly. Like, oh my goodness, how can someone write a code like this? But hey, I don't really care. Uh, hey, is there a way that we can make it just a little bit better? Uh, is there a way? So, is there a way? Okay, so it is saying that if we have the export from another function, we could potentially use it like this. Do we have the export? We could potentially have the export because, let's see, we don't. Okay, that is interesting. Okay, we don't have export, which means we have to include the file this way. Okay. Now, things are very interesting right now. When we are having okay, so we do have a single thread working in the debug format. We don't have a single thread working for the holistic, and I don't plan to run that for the holistic as well. The reason is because for holistic version, it is super heavy for a single thread to run it, right? So I don't even tend to try to do it. It is just too it is problematic for us to try. The single thread with my PC, with my laptop and one MacBook Pro, it is a bit laggy. We are only able to achieve around like 30 FPS or so for the machine learning, which is somewhat decent, I would say. But we're only able to achieve 20 something, like 20 3D rendering FPS, which at some point look a little bit laggy. If we are comparing the result to the if we're comparing the result to our application that is running in multi-thread, right? So the one on the bottom left is a multi-thread program. The one on the bottom right is a multi-thread. The one on the top left is the single thread. So we can see that the multi-thread is just more smoother than the single thread application. So since we know that in our machine learning running is actually still slightly faster, right? So the machine learning currently is running at 24, 25 FPS. The 3D rendering is currently running at 15, 18, 20 FPS. So the 3D rendering is slower, like 10 frames slower, 10 frames per second slower than the machine learning, like frame per second, which is first of all, it is reasonable that when the machine learning is running inside one thread, it will almost occupy all the resources. So it is making the 3D rendering very hard to render. And second of all, currently they are using different JavaScript loop. So they are not controlled inside one single queue. So we are not having one ML and one 3D, one ML and one 3D. Which is why when they are running this asynchronously, the resources from the 3D rendering will be occupied. These are all known fact, and we can potentially accept it. And especially if we're doing recording. What does it mean? If we are recorded the video directly from the current images that we're seeing, we are only getting the frame rate of the 3D rendering, right? However, if we are recording a video using the positional information that we saved from our machine learning result, and then we can change the VRM model and also change the background, change the clothes to whatever we want. In that case, we don't even care about the 3D rendering. This is just like a preview. So the single thread option is mainly trying to support mobile anyway. And for mobile, I think the recording function is what it needs. So there are two approaches that we can currently try to think of to improve the 3D rendering. One is that when the FPS is significantly better for the machine learning, we try to insert 3D rendering frames into the ML rendering result. So if ML rendering is a lot faster, whenever ML rendered, we will trigger a visualization render. Another approach is that we just ignore and take this as a fact. We just don't care about it and move on. Given our development schedule, maybe we can move on right now. Yeah, I think we can move on right now. I don't think this is a very critical topic to resolve at this moment. The thing that we have to add is, of course, we need to add the control to for the user to select whether they want single thread or multi-thread. Right? This is I am currently defaulting that to single thread using this test code. But doesn't mean that we could potentially just enable or disable our model. Right, so for get ML model, we are getting hand track, we are getting FB worker. And we should probably not using. Oh, when we check the ML, because that is null, right? Yes, these are null. Okay, so one way that we can do it is to have these separated, right? This is called holistic worker multi-thread, holistic worker multi-thread, multi-thread, multi-thread. We're not going to have holistic worker single thread anyway, but let's still have the naming aligned. And for the facial landmark single thread, we will have a different worker. Although it's actually not a worker, I think we could potentially ignore that. And one interesting fact is that should we get the hand track with getML model, or should we just use global variables? I think we could potentially just use global variables, right? Who is calling this getML model? I think this is inside our manager. Is anyone else calling this? The only possible someone else will be the controller. But I am guessing that we shouldn't have that there. Yes, and we don't have that there, which means the only one that is calling the getML model is from hand checking. And it could make sense because we don't want the Denmark manager to directly get access to our configuration, which is completely reasonable. So we're trying to get this information in. But maybe we should have a model config here that we define multiple things. First, hand, and also thread, and get CNV multi thread. Does it make sense? And then we pass the model config inside. So now inside our, it will be hand. If we check hand, and if model config thread, we will return multi-thread, and if worker single thread. Right, does it make sense? I think this makes sense, right? So now in our config manager, we go on and create another configuration file after this one. And that is interesting because we know that the config manager is now already separated. From our Electron and also the web. So when we change something here, we will also need to change the same thing. And multi-thread, is it something that the user can select? I'm guessing that the user should be able to select whether they want to use multi-thread or a single thread, right? Where should we put it? First of all, it should be in general. I completely agree that it should be in general. Yeah, okay, let's just put it here, multi-thread. And multi-thread is not a system variable. And multi-thread default should be true. And multi-thread is a binary. Parameters, yes. Multi-thread, binary parameters, true or false. Yes. And also, with that, where will we put our multi-thread? It will be put inside general after FPS limit. Multi-thread. Multi-thread option. True or false? Yes. It's not range, right? It's valid. Yes. And will be to use multi-thread or not. Okay. So in that case, we are changing the code quite a bit. And let us reload. And we are getting errors. Yes. Landmark JS 134. Oh yeah. Stupid error. Do we save the manager? Yes, we have it saved. So let's try it again. We have everything up and running. And we currently are running a multi-thread face-only model. And if we check the FPS, it looks reasonable. That 3D rendering is around 40, ML rendering is around 23, 20, 22. And now, inside settings, general, there is a multi-thread option. If we disable it, we will now in single thread. And we can check that in our parameters. Now our FPS for our machine learning is still 20 something, but because it is occupying the resources for our 3D rendering, the 3D the visualization FPS is drastically decreased, and now it is just 10 frames per second. Perfect. And we are done. We are great. We achieved the version. We achieve it. That is fantastic. And now, since we have separated the version, right? So in the config, we actually on the top, there are some versions that we need to change. So now, September 15, the version, is it still beta? This is not beta anymore. This is not beta anymore. But how do we even do version validation? Because this is not beta anymore. And we still have to check here. Do we need this check here? I'm saying that we don't. Okay, we don't have the check here. Wait a second. Oh shit. So before we were actually having quite a bad code. But since we know that we don't need to have the check there, we will be able to, yes, yes, yes. And now that's coded v2 1 1. Yes. Now we are in official production version. After more than 2 years of development, we are in the version number that is not alpha or beta. Congratulations to ourselves. This is a great achievement by us. And we can, we would need to synchronize this change, right? Yeah, we will need to synchronize this change to our front end as well, because to our website as well. This change currently only happened on the Electron, but with this function, we are supposedly also letting the website being able to have single thread option, which is great for the mobile testing. And at the end, we are going to have the entry also checked. So my idea is that when the user is entering from mobile, we will by default only set the user to use face instead of having the hand tracking open by default, right? Because we all know that mobile computation is still far from what we could achieve with our PC and with our laptop. And let's worry about that later. I think with this version change in our configuration, it's quite a good achievement. Let's reload everything and test. Great. And we are having 2.1.1, and in our parameters in our general, we are having the multi-thread on. In our settings in our general, we are now disabling, and we are having a more buggy version. So good. Now with this enable again, removed, removed. Wonderful. So yeah, I think that's. Should we code it a day right now? Okay, wait a second. Let's not call it a day yet. For the version, I think we can have a little bit of changing. Let's call it E211 for the Electron version. And for the other one, we will call it Web 211. Okay. E211, that should be enough. And the other will be W211 for the separated version across the web and the Electron. And these will mark as the separation that we have. And right now, what I would like to do right now is that, wait a second, why are we having, yeah, we're having somewhat of a decent FPS right now. Okay, so what I would like to do is that we also change the front end in this stream. So let's open the website, and let's open the configuration manager. And there are things that we will want to change. The first thing, update the date as well. This one will be W211. And we will also need to update the basically everything below, right? Yep, set cookies, everything below. Right, so the reason why we're updating everything below is because we want to have the single thread option being set there as well. Where is it? Multi-thread, yeah, have the multi-thread option being set there as well. And with this change, we should be able to have our front end also enable this. Okay, so the changes that we're currently seeing, that we are recently seeing from either the Electron or the website, especially for the website, we're not able to see live yet because this is in a different branch instead of the main branch, which we will try to test it. We will try to test it recently to see if that will work. And for the Electron version, we will first of all update the code. And after the code is updated, we will publish the build version as well, which we will do it off stream, but I'll do it today. And that's about it. Let me close some of the testing that we have. That's about it. And that's great. We are able to cross out both our development items. Yes, the Electron UI take us little time. Thread control take us more, but happily we're able to cross both development items. And that's open up the thread control co-ML with single thread code check. Yes, we achieve everything. So I think that should be it, right? Is there anything that I still need to take care of? Right, so we have everything finished. That is the development target of today, and happily we're able to finish everything in 2 hours and 20 minutes. That is fast, especially compared to what we have already achieved today. That is super fast. And that's wonderful. Cool. Cool. Right, so yeah. That's it for today. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.